Welcome back to a little bit of cheese, your bite-sized Wisconsin sports podcast. I'm Cody Dupius. That is Sam Douglas. It is July 17th. Interesting weather here in the Midwest, as the good old Tim Allen says on the Wisconsin Sports Network. Didn't even need a cigarette with all the smoke outside here this morning. Sam, how you been doing?
Doing all right, doing all right. It's the dog days of summer out here, Cody. It's 95, forest fire smoke coming in. It's been hot out. Working on the golf game. Did a full 18 holes and it was like 96 earlier in the week. That was a
Sounds awful.
Tuesday. Yeah, Tuesday. I mean, we were committed to going Tuesday, and we got out there. Sun's beating down. It might have been a noon tee time, so it wasn't morning, it wasn't evening. Out all day in the sun, but you know what? That's what summer's for. I think we
Yeah.
spent 8 months in this state waiting for it to get a little bit warm. So darn it, we're gonna do that. And before we get going, I gotta wish my nephew Graham a happy second birthday. Happy big number 2, Graham.
Happy deuce, Graham. That's awesome. How's the golf game, Sam? I know last we talked irons, right? That was the main focus, irons.
Yeah, I gotta get some new ones. I think just new clubs is the secret to happiness for me. It's all right. I mean, this is the first summer that I'm like actually hitting the ball straight consistently and not losing balls golfing. So it's been able to be enjoyed a little bit more. Do got to get an actual set of clubs, but past couple
No,
rounds.
that's just what big golf wants you to think is you need new clubs. No, just get good with the bad clubs. And then when you get the good clubs, then you'll be bad again.
That probably checks out. It probably
Yeah.
checks out. I'm hoping
Yeah,
to
I
hit a
went
couple
with
balls.
it was my brother's bachelor party this past weekend, so we did 18 holes. And we,
Nice.
of course, on a budget, you go in the afternoon, get those twilight rates. So what do you do in the morning? You go out on the boat, get sunburnt as hell. You're
Mm.
exhausted by the time you're on hole one. It was bad. Like, so I have 3 younger brothers. 2 of them don't play. This is my second time playing this year, and I think this is the second time that my other brother was playing. So not a lot of golf experience between us. Through 18 holes, we played bogey golf. We were plus 18. It was a 4-person scramble. So best ball each shot. It was rough. Man, like we couldn't get a putt out of anybody. We couldn't get anything out of anybody. It was just a grind. So, yeah,
Hey,
a little
bogey
bit
golf
of a
is fun.
high that I had from the other bachelor party where I got to play with our good friend Book, and I got to scramble with him. That was a high for me. We already hit our low now playing with my brothers. So it's an expensive game. It's a fun game. It's an addicting game. And it's gotten us all since COVID. So screw the worst thing that COVID did, aside from, ending lives, was it increased golf rates so much because of how popular the darn game is now. Because supply and demand, and there's a lot of demand for golf now, and it's hard to book a tee time on a Saturday. Like especially over here in the Appleton, Fox Cities area, it's ridiculous. Those rates are not fun. We don't have the $16 for 9 holes Walsh Golf Course anywhere over here.
Shout out to Walsh. That's where
Yeah.
I paid my dues, baby.
Hit the grind over there at Walsh. All right, the reason we started a little bit of golf talk, out of all the days this past week, not a lot of notable things going on. I mean, you have a couple of things from Bucks Summer League. There was the All-Star game, which for Brewer fans, not a lot of reason to tune in if you're just watching for your Brewers. I tuned in a little bit, got to hear Mizorowski. They had the little interview, asked him how he's getting his velocity so high, and he says that he's just riding the wave. And it's just one of those answers, man. I love Miz. What a character. But William Contreras, no, we don't speak that other name here on this podcast. William Contreras did play in the game. Mizorowski, he was out due to fatigue. We can kind of start the show off there. It was stated by the team that he was going to make 3 starts before the All-Star game, that he was going to start right before the All-Star game so he wouldn't be able to pitch it. Well, they scratched him anyway. Do you think that this was real fatigue, or do you think this is let's just tell people these things while we're just trying to stretch him out and limit his innings.
I don't think that they would use the word fatigue if it wasn't going on at least a little bit. But that doesn't necessarily mean it has to be a bad thing. I think being a professional athlete, there's probably some fatigue going on there. I mean, just any professional athlete gets a little bit fatigued. I would hope that this was part of the plan. Really let Miz get some run in, throw the innings, be a really good professional pitcher for the first chunk of the season till about the All-Star break. Get a couple arms and start burning innings and bring him back down to 6 inning games, 5, 6 inning games for the next couple months so that everybody's healthiest going into October. But right away, we knew we don't want to see Miz be an 8 inning guy. And he has had a little bit long release. He had that complete game, and you're not going to take him out if Miz is firing. I mean, this is his time. He has what I saw is potentially the best fastball ever
Yeah.
going on right now. So as a team, you can't really limit him to 5 innings because you want to not let him be fatigued, right? You got to have your really good players just go be really good players because that's what they do. But that being said, I think it is time for to reel it back a little bit for the next couple months. And so yeah, maybe he's fatigued. No, I'm not super worried about his arm falling off right now.
Yeah, I think the extent of Mizorowski's fatigue might be comparable to maybe me waking up after a rough night of sleep because I decided to have a Diet Coke for dinner last night. Can't do crazy things like that anymore at this age. Yeah, I doubt there's much of anything. This kind of seemed like it was part of the plan. Anyone you talk to around the area, uh, around Milwaukee or in the Brewers organization, they said that it was probably going to be the case that Mizorowski takes a little bit of time off before and a little bit of time off after the All-Star break so they get
Mhm.
their rest in now and then they'll kind of ramp him back up and then by the time you get to the postseason you have him stretched out and he can go pitch the whole game if that allows, which we've seen him do already this season. So you're going to see peaks and valleys, and a major league season is so long. I mean, it's 9 months out of the year. If you have him ramp up for the 4 months, like we just saw, you take it off a little bit, get your body reacclimated, uh, just recuperate a little bit, then you can ramp back up for those last few months of the season and be ready to go when the lights are shining the brightest. So it's little concern for me for Mizorowski. Actually, I'd say maybe 1%
Mhm.
because it seemed pretty planned out. For Kyle Harrison, I might have a little bit of a different opinion. He's on the 15-day IL. You can say that this is almost a planned thing. You can hear from anybody there is essentially fake IL stints where they just put a guy out there for roster moves or to stretch him out or to allow for him to get a little bit of rest. I don't think that's the case here, especially looking at Harrison's performances the last couple of weeks. I think something was going on. It's
Mhm.
forearm tightness. The Brewers tell us that it's nothing serious. I'm just going to hope that that's correct, but there's a little bit more concern here for me for Kyle Harrison.
I think concern definitely the right word to use there. Not fear or franticness at this point, but something tightened up for him. Whether it
Mm-hmm.
was forearm or delivery, there's a lot of steps to throwing a pitch. So if anything is tight in there and messing with him a little bit, take a mile per hour off the ball, a little less spin on a breaking ball. He started getting hit a couple times in a row there. So he's probably trying to pitch through it because it's probably not a big concern.
Yeah.
But we see this in basketball. If a calf gets tight, you take that very, very seriously because you don't want that Achilles to break. You don't want bigger arm issues to come up.
Yeah.
So there probably is some tightness going on. I'll take the Brewers' word for it that it's not that serious. But that being said, serious enough for them to reel him back a little bit. And again, fine with their process. That's the beauty of being 20 games over 500 right now, is we don't need to be pushing our guys if they have a little bit of tightness going on. We
Yeah.
have the liberty to be ultra safe right now with whatever pitching rotation we're going to be rolling out for the next month or so.
It'll be something. That's for sure. And the other thing about Harrison here, forearm tightness by itself concerns me because as long as I've been a baseball fan, a lot of times when it's forearm tightness or they talk about forearm problems, that generally leads to an elbow and to a lot
Mm.
larger problems. Like you said, if it's a calf, you want to get that taken care of so you don't have an Achilles. If you have a forearm, you want to get that taken care of so you don't worry about Tommy John or UCL or any of that stuff because that could be death to the number two starter for the season for the Brewers. So it you hope that there is enough precaution here and that they caught things early enough where there's not too much strain on that elbow. I mean, to be completely honest, elbows have not been too big of a problem for Milwaukee starting pitchers. Yeah, Burns had his done after he left Milwaukee and pitched for Baltimore for a year and then spent a little bit of time in Arizona. But like I said, knock on wood, they've been pretty good with that. Yes, you've had some bigger injuries that have led to other things, like you've seen Henderson be out for an extended period of time multiple times because of things. You now see Brandon Woodruff. I mean, they had a rough gauge on what Brandon Woodruff was going to be able to do this year, especially giving him a 20 plus $1 million qualifying offer. So the Brewers are certainly not perfect in the way that they handle these things or even the way that they explain these injuries, saying they're not as big a deal and then they turn out to be a bigger deal later. You just hope that this is the one case here for Harrison that he can be back shortly after that 15-day. And even if he takes an extra week or two, like you said, that's totally fine. You've given yourself enough of a cushion where you can kind of mess around, and that's where you go make a trade, like we're going to talk about here in a minute. But I do want to talk a little bit about Brandon Woodruff because it kind of stings for the expectations that we had and just the hopes that he could be there for the postseason because it's something we have not seen since. I can go back, it's 2022, probably maybe 2023, but Woodruff we haven't seen in the playoffs in quite some time, and kind of stinks. It's been that bad luck bug, but he's been able to fight through some things that I haven't seen pitchers fight through. But it seems to me now 60-day IL, something flared up in the shoulder again. They're getting a second opinion. I did hear the word surgery thrown out there. Do you think this is the end of the road for Woody?
I mean this with a lot of love, Cody. I hope so.
Yeah,
Um, I
I
think
get you.
I've been on that kind of throughout this year is rooting for Brandon Woodruff. But if his fastball is going to be 93, I don't want to see him in the playoffs. I want him on the team, want him in the dugout, want him to stick around. But knowing what our pitching staff can do with project pitchers and finding the right guys and optimizing what we can optimize out there, um, I'm ready to celebrate what Brandon Woodruff did in Milwaukee.
Yeah.
And I hope he comes. If is he under contract for next year as well?
I don't believe
I know he's on a
so. I
big
think it'd
number
be
right now.
arbitration again. He might be, yeah,
Um,
I think he might have the option for another qualifying offer, and then it'd be free agency.
So he's been an absolute dog for us. He's been through so much injury, so much rehab. I hope he gets more run in professional baseball, and I hope if he wants to come back and play for the Brewers for a small number next year, that'd be great. But I haven't seen enough to be excited about him as a playoff pitcher for us. So as far as
Yeah.
Brandon Woodruff is concerned, I wish him the best health, and
Yep.
that's about it as far as being a Brewer.
Yeah. I mean, baseball's his life, and he's shown that he is going to give you his full effort all the time, no matter what case scenario it
Mhm.
is, whether it's game one of the 2018 NLDS facing one of the greatest pitchers of all time, going to give you a good at bat, baby. Or going through rehab, like you said. It's been parts of the last four seasons for Woodruff. Like, it sucks. It's been a long time, but it's a conversation you have. You worry about pitchers' elbows, right? But you know once it's done, they get the surgery. Yes, it takes time, but once they come back, oftentimes they come back as good or better than they were. Shoulders are an entirely different beast, and we've talked about that a lot on this show. And the fact that we saw Woodruff get to the level that he did, albeit for a short time, I think was impressive on its own. That he was able to work his way back to a 93-mile-an-hour fastball. Like shoulders are bad, and we don't see guys come back from it all too often. And I can't say there's a case in my mind where a guy has come back from a shoulder injury and been dominant. It takes a huge part of your game away. You have to learn how to throw again. Your body is entirely different after a shoulder surgery, and it takes a lot of adaptation. A lot of times learning the adaptation of your body is going to lead to some other things flaring up. And that's what we've seen here with Woodruff the last 2 years, where you were hoping to get him by the playoffs, but then other injuries flaring up in that same shoulder. It's just something that it's going to be a battle for the rest of his career. It's going to stink if he ever does have a quote-unquote full season. I don't see it exceeding 100 innings. I see it being little short bursts. And if it happens, like you said, I hope it happens for the Brewers. I'm also going to be honest, I hope it doesn't happen for $20 million, because that's one that you bite. And yeah, you
I
probably
think
could have spent
Atanasio
a
will
little
make
bit of
sure
money
that.
somewhere else with everything that we knew. But you only give money like that, knowing the things that you knew, to the character that Brandon Woodruff was. Because that is, you don't do it with character question marks, and with Woodruff, there's only positive things to say. Where they probably looked at that number and saw him as an additional pitching coach that you have on the team, someone who's a mentor, even for all the position players, like just a guy that has been there and done that, has all that veteran leadership, that presence that he brings to the dugout every day. And you're still going to get that value because he still hangs around the clubhouse. Even last year when he wasn't playing, he's still there. He's still helping the team. So there's value, not quite to the number that they gave him, but this might be the end. We'll see.
Cody, if we're up in a playoff series and we're playing at home, there's nobody else I'd rather see be a one inning opener for us. If Brandon Woodruff can be a little bit healthy and we have a lead on the playoff series and we're playing at home, put him out there for the first inning, I think that would light the boys up. That'd be awesome to see. But that's the extent. But
Yeah.
if we're up 5-1, if he's healthy enough to be on the roster, I would love to see him out there in specific circumstances.
Yeah, and then again, you talk, it's a playoff roster spot. Those are very, very, very valuable, where a lot of times you'll have one of your starters not even make it. So I'd say the
Mhm.
chances of that happening pretty slim, but I do like the idea of it because you wish to would have a proper send-off and not have it be a game that he just can't finish and you have to
Yeah.
watch him walk off the field with his head down. Because that's the part that sucks the most, is you're not able to watch him go off in a highlight, which he pitched great games this year. Like that game in Cincinnati, literally the week before the arm went out again. 6 innings, 0 runs. He's perfect game into the sixth. He struck out 10. Like the guy's still there, and that also is the part that sucks about it. Is even when he was hurt, he was still pitching all right. He was still striking guys out. It was kind of funny. Even when he was at 84 and they played Arizona at home, like he still had 2 strikeouts that inning somehow. I said the changeup was nasty. The inning that they took him out, he kept going changeup, and I was like, wow, he's really using that changeup a lot. It sure is
Yeah.
moving well though. And then he kept going changeup. I'm like, there might be something wrong here. And then Murph came out of the dugout, and that's, yeah, it sucks. But Milwaukee, they prepared for this.
They'll do
Like
fine.
they
They've got
have all the arms.
yeah.
It's not going to be something that's a death sentence. And I'll be honest, even if Harrison isn't healthy the rest of the year, it's not a death sentence. It might be a World Series death sentence because having two of those top end starters is pretty crucial for the playoffs, especially if you don't have a ton of bangers in your lineup, which the Brewers lineup we know is good. I just wouldn't call it like a Yankees murderer row or anything like that. So the arms are there, the depth is there, and that can bring us to the Brewers trade from this past week. They traded away a legend's son in Jaden Fielder. He's going to Houston. And the Brewers, in return, getting back Lance McCullers Jr. and Colton Gordon. So those baseball fans, you probably recognize Lance McCullers Jr. He was on those Astros World Series teams. Actually pitched pretty well. He's made, I think he made one All-Star team. Yep, All-Star back in 2017. And he got Cy Young votes back in 2021. This is a guy that has missed 3 separate full seasons due to injury and probably has 2 or 3 more that have been extremely hindered by injury. The most games he's pitched in a season was 2021. This is a guy that has struggled immensely to stay on the field. And not ironically, is on the 15-day IL right now when the Brewers traded for him. So it's another one of those situations where he hasn't really escaped that bug yet. And this year he hasn't escaped the giving up runs bug either, as he has a 6.86 ERA. Last year was at 6.51. He missed the previous 2 years to injury. A guy who's come back from a whole lot. But when I say come back, he hasn't really performed in any definition of the word. So as much of a low risk, high reward kind of move as this, how does this one tickle you, Sam?
You telling me the Brewers went out and got a pitcher who has shown flashes of a high ceiling, has struggled to stay on the field a little bit, not currently reaching his potential, and the Brewers saw that guy and got him for a prospect that we weren't probably going to bring up anytime soon?
Or
I
ever.
love it, Cody. I love it so much. I mean, this is right in Chris Hook's wheelhouse. This is someone that you make a couple tweaks with. You know the stuff is there. It's not a long-term fix, but it's someone who's going to eat up innings for us
Yep.
while Ms. Harrison, whoever, is taking some innings off heading into October. He's a starter, right?
He is.
Yeah. And
Yep,
Gordon's
McCullers Jr. is a starter, yes. Gordon is not. He's
Go-
primarily a bullpen arm. But you can stretch him out to start games, too.
it just feels like Nick Mears 2.0. It feels like a couple garbage men. Guys that are gonna come in, eat up innings. Grant Anderson has shown that he's not the 8-1 ball game pitcher anymore. Grant Anderson has earned himself a spot in the bullpen. But yeah, just eat up innings. Tweak, big sweeper from McCullers. Big sweeper, big curveball. That sounds like something that Chris Hook can tweak a little bit and just run that into the ground. Make that throw that 50% of the time, throw a breaking ball 50% of the time. If that's your money pitch, I think that's something that Chris Hook can tweak and really make a deadly weapon for this Brewers rotation. Just to have another piece, be a tooly guy. As we talk about fielders or we said about Lockridge last year, he's going to have a spot to be a pinch runner at some point. I think these guys are going to have a place in the rotation at some point.
Yeah, I like the term more so of calling him an innings eater as opposed to a deadly weapon. But
I don't know if I said deadly.
you said we'll run it back, but
the sweeper might be that
sweeper,
one pitch. That one pitch could be.
Might be a pitch to throw. Yeah, it's got a lot of spin on it. He's gotten rocked this year. What it's gonna have to be is what Chris Hook typically does, and I give all my credit to understanding this to the Brewer Fanatic. If you guys want to go deeper into this Brewer Fanatic podcast, those guys are dorks that love the game way more than I could ever know. But what Hook does is that they're gonna essentially pick one pitch or just tell him to throw something a little bit more. The prediction here is that they tell him to throw fastball more because he's sitting at like 73% off speed. It's usually not recommended to be at a rate like that.
Yeah.
And no command. So if they can find a little tweak in his delivery to make something more consistent just so he can have a little bit more command, that could be what turns a 6.8 ERA into a 4.5 ERA. And honestly, if you get that and you're throwing that out there while you have Miz and Harrison working back from hopefully very minor injuries, that's great. It's eat innings. They don't have to be great innings. Like I said before, my prediction was that they were going to pick up an arm like a Frankie Montas or an Aaron Savali. I don't know if this is even to the caliber of that, but that's my hope. of what you can get is just somebody that goes out there and maybe, just maybe, gives you a chance to win. Think of like an average Colin Ray start. If you could get that
I'm
out
trying
of
not
Lance,
to.
I would be a happy man if you get the average Colin Ray start out of Lance McCullers when he goes out there. Just eat innings. Colton Gordon, on the other hand, he's going to be probably starting it out in AAA. He's got an interesting profile as a lefty, 6'4", 225. He's had a rough go of it this year in a 11.57 ERA.
Oh boy.
So yeah, don't have a lot to build off of there. Last year wasn't all too much better. He had a 5.65 ERA in 20 games pitched. He is stretched out to start this year in AAA. He's started 13 games, has 70 innings, 4.46 ERA in Sugarland. So even at AAA, nothing's really going to pop out. But like you said, when they go and trade for guys like this, I often tend to think that they see something that nobody else does, and they are going to emphasize whatever that is. So wherever these guys are at in their career, they're probably going to maximize whatever it is in Milwaukee. So you're probably going to get the best possible situation for guys like this. So they've got to be excited coming into Milwaukee. For Jaden Fielder, he's not going to be roadblocked by the immense prospect talent that is ahead in Milwaukee's system right now. Like, to be honest, there wasn't going to be a heck of a pipeline for Jaden Fielder to make the big leagues, especially considering he doesn't really have a position right now. He's been DHing in single A. They haven't been able to find him position. Not a lot of power. The way they described him on Brewer Fanatic was a poor man's Tyler Black, and we have seen how the rich man's Tyler Black has turned out this year.
That's
Yeah.
so disrespectful.
I mean, it's not a great minor league profile, but I mean, for being Prince Fielder's son, like even just to, he's an undrafted free agent. Like the expectations out of high school are not high. Milwaukee picked him up probably because they knew a little bit about his character and said, hey, this kid's going to work hard. And that's all that we've heard. A great person to have in the clubhouse, great guy to have in your organization. But in all honesty, Milwaukee probably wasn't going to be the place that he makes the big leagues, if he makes the big leagues at all. So
Best thing he could do for us is get us two arms. And
yeah.
so shout out to Jaden Fielder. You did your job, brother.
Yep. As an undrafted free agent, they did send some cash over as well, which honestly might have been the more enticing part of this deal, and Lance McCullers' contract that the Brewers will be paying off for the rest of it. But low risk, high reward. This is where Milwaukee does their best work. It's going with little expectations, and they'll probably be exceeded.
I think something just over the past couple years, just seeing what the Brewers lab has done with not only pitchers but players. I mean, the Andrew Vaughn is got to be what players think of when they come to Milwaukee, like McCullers, to get a second chance. So if you're a pitcher and now you join an organization where your confidence is through the roof, like they're just, even if Chris Hook does nothing, these guys are stepping into a situation that they believe will make them better.
Mm-hmm.
And if I've learned a thing or two in this world, is that's going to go a long way.
And a big part to all of this is how good Milwaukee's defense is. In Houston, they did not have dogs playing in the field. They did not have gold glovers or platinum glovers playing out there in the field for them. So a lot of those hits that could break an inning open, Milwaukee eliminates those. And that's where you see a lot of guys play better than what their expected stats stay, is because of that, because of how good the infield defense and the outfield is as well for the Brewers. So that's just a simple way to say that pitching gets maximized in Milwaukee, and then Chris Hook and Jim Henderson and what those guys are able to do. We bring them up every single episode, and there's great reason for that. Before those guys, we weren't talking about it. You didn't have Quinn Priester come in. You didn't have Kyle Harrison come in. Like these stories didn't happen in Milwaukee until these guys in this office was here. It's something that every other team in baseball is trying to emulate and copy, unless they're the Dodgers and they can just pay whoever the heck they want, although they do have a very good system as well. So that's going to be it for our Brewer Talk. Do want to quickly mention Bryce Terang, All-Star snub. That sucked. It's just funny to see the second best team in baseball only have two All-Stars in it, and then a team like the Rays, who they've played good, they have five. So just fan voting, man, which is crazy. Tampa Bay's a small market too. How'd that even? Whatever. Conversation for the off season. Sam, I want to get you a little bit of Bucks time. I know you're excited. Summer League going on. You were saying some things about Burries I need to hear about. Also want to hear about Nate Ament. Gonna be honest, haven't even tuned into a highlight clip on my end, so you're gonna have to catch me up here.
Braden Burries, Cody, stock through the roof.
All right.
The highest PER in summer league of among players that
PER in layman's terms, please.
player efficiency rating.
Okay.
Um, Standard for offensive and net rating while you're on the court. Braden Burries 32.8, AJ Dabansa 32.4. The third highest PER of summer league is Morris Johnson at 28.8. So he is performing at an efficiency next to the number one overall pick. He's leading summer league in player efficiency rating. He had 3 games back to back to back earlier in summer league: 23 8-6, 26 3-3, 18 3-3. And I got one more stat right here for you. Over 68 minutes in the summer league, Braden Burries has 56 points and 0 turnovers. Watching the games, one of the big issues that we were looking out for is ball security from him. It felt like almost like a Marshawn Lloyd, where hey, wow, there's a lot of talent here. Can he hold the ball? Will all his skills translate? Because man, he's an athlete, but is he going to be able to play against professional defense? And it looks like it. All the skills translate, Cody. He's scoring at 3 levels. He's hitting threes at a 40% plus clip. He's driving to the lane. He's switching hands on layups. He's hitting step back jumpers. He's releasing the ball at the top of his shot, which that's going to translate. The shot looks good. The legs look strong. In an interview, he's just worried about getting better every single day. He says he's not super caught up in the summer league moment. He knows that there's bigger fish to fry. He wants to be an all-star his rookie year. And my comp that I had written down is a guard version of Jason Tatum because it's
Okay.
just it's a full package. He's doing everything. He's not super proficient at one thing where he's going to pigeonhole himself to that. And at Arizona where he was playing, he was sharing on-ball guard duties, so he can play off ball if Ryan Rollins needs to dominate some possessions. I think this is someone that I really look forward to seeing his growth. And Braden Burries, man, if he can put on a muscle and keep his shot, he can be an absolute bulldog. And this Bucks backcourt with Kevin Porter Jr., Ryan Rollins, Tyler Hero, and Braden Burries is young and good and exciting.
It's
Um,
interesting.
the only thing I would vote for is trading Hero to give these younger guys even more minutes and support their growth. That's how much I'm looking forward to seeing what Burries, KPJ, and Rounds can just get better every single day. But yeah, man, Burries looks really good. Ament had a really good game. He's always going to be a project. I would look forward to Braden Burries this year more than Nate Ament.
Cool. Which I will say, I believe that Tyler Hero, at least from what I'm hearing, the Tyler Hero trade is sounding more likely than not. We could be wrong, but I think that would be the smartest thing that Horst could do in this position and situation that the Bucks franchise is in. So with Braden Burries, a lot of what I hear is high floor, low ceiling. What's the reason for that low ceiling kind of quality, you might say? Is it
Being
the fact that he doesn't kill everything, but that he's just good at everything?
being small,
Okay.
without having a deadly 3-pointer, will limit you. We see guards like Damian Lillard. Obviously, Steph Curry is a unicorn.
Right.
Um, Donovan Mitchell, I think he's 6'2", 6'3". He's a small guard, but again, his shot is just elite. So if you're
Yeah.
going to be that small, you have to be able to bring your defender. He has to be glued to you on the 3-point line if you want any chance at playmaking from there. But yeah, it's it's a lot of talent there. There's a lot of talent there. Bucks also signed Gary Trent Jr. to 4 years, 64 million.
Yeah.
NBA's probing that. I don't think they're going to find anything, Cody. I think this was probably a promised contract, why he signed for a minimum. They
Yeah.
said there's probably an under the table thing. It's not a bad thing because he becomes tradable. So if he plays a bunch of minutes early in the season, we'll trade him at the deadline. I don't think the Bucks I can't imagine we want Gary Trent Jr. playing for this young team when we're so focused on the future. But
Yeah.
you have to hit, like, you have to pay guys. If you're able to pay guys, then you can trade that contract. So now they can go get somebody that's making 20 million a year because they have someone making, they can salary match a lot easier with Gary Trent Jr. So yeah, that's a couple Bucks takes for you. I love these
Cool.
young. Yeah.
Cool. Got a couple quick graders for you. Want to move on up to Green Bay?
Come on.
Chances Aaron Donald plays this year for the Rams.
98%. Everything I've seen from Aaron Donald is he's a competitive freak. I don't think he can leave this opportunity on the table. He might come back week 10, would probably be smart for the body. I think if I was Aaron Donald and I knew I had it in the tank, put him out there week 1, dude. I think he wants to play football. But how he does it is going to be his own decision and what makes sense for his body. But yeah, I would expect Aaron Donald to come back. That's cool.
Follow up to that. If Donald is on the field, what are the chances that the Rams have of winning a Super Bowl?
That's going to be on Matt Stafford.
Okay.
Is Matt Stafford, he's the reigning MVP. We know his age is knocking, and we know when quarterbacks get really old, there's a hard and steep fall off. So if their offensive line can protect Stafford, the Rams are a wagon, dude. And didn't they just get the Chiefs cornerback too? They signed like the best corner on the market. I know his name, dude. They're they're freaking loaded. They got Miles.
Assembling the Avengers. Yeah,
Yeah,
this is
they're assembling the damn Avengers, and it's the NFL, and LA is a pretty big market, so I would imagine
NFC West is going to be interesting to say the least. I mean, Seattle, you imagine, is going to be up there. San Francisco is always going to fight. It's poor Arizona, man. That's Mike LaFleur is in quite the situation here. Yeah, that's kind of where I am. Oh, one other one. So ESPN had their position player rankings that came out. They had their top 10 quarterbacks. They had Jordan Love as the third honorable mention. So, like the 13th quarterback. Where would you put Love right now, based amongst quarterbacks?
around around 8 to 10.
Yeah.
It's hard talent wise. He's shown a lot of flashes. As we're kind of talking about this, I wish that I could say that's something that's going to fire Jordan Love up. I don't think he's that kind of guy. I don't think he's really getting motivated by that, and I think that's why he's an 8 to 10 guy and not a 1 through 5 guy. That being said, if Micah Parsons is playing really good, and we've got 5 receivers that can all do the job, and Tucker Kraft and Josh Jacobs plays fine running back for us for 1 more year, and the defense is there. I don't think we need a top 5 quarterback.
I think your offensive line is going to be one of your biggest X factors. And then on the other side, your defensive line. How do they hold up without Micah? And then who's all healthy when Micah gets back? And how Micah looks. I think those are your biggest keys. It all starts on the line. I'll say that every single year going into it. But I think you got a lot of fun players that aren't on the line too. That's going to do it for us this week. We'll be back next time. Hopefully some more healthy arms for the Brewers. I'm Cody. That's Sam. This has been another edition of A Little Bit of Cheese, your bite-sized Wisconsin sports podcast.